Okay, today we're going to take a look at Chapter 10. So let's go ahead and start with the PowerPoint. Chapter 10 focuses on our interpersonal relationships, specifically our friendships, our love relationships, and our family relationships. So first off, we're going to start with family by defining what it is. It's an interpersonal relationship, which means there's interdependence. It's between two people, obviously. So we're not talking about a group of three or a group of four. It's just between two people. It's mutually productive, which means each person gets something out of it. There's some benefit to the friendship. The next is mutual positive regard. And what that means is that you like each other. You also trust each other and you share interests. Closer friends are more interdependent. That means the closer that we get to somebody, the more intimate we are. We're more dependent on them. And then last but not least, friendships are a matter of choice, much different than our family. Our family, we don't get to choose. They just are who they are. But our friends, we actually get to pick. Next is there's three types of friendship. The first is friendships of reciprocity, and they are ideal types of relationships because it's based on equality. There's equal giving, equal receiving. We both get benefits and rewards. The next is friendships of receptivity, and that means there's an imbalance in giving and receiving. One person's the primary giver, one is the primary receiver. There does require a difference in status. So if you were friends with one of your instructors, there's a difference in status. If you're friends with one of your physicians, there's a difference. They actually have maybe more power and authority, more knowledge than you, but there's still a friendship that develops. I know that I have a good friend who happens to be my boy's endocrinologist, and he definitely has more power. I'm relying on him oftentimes to help me do things and get things done, and I simply just don't have the knowledge he has. He has a higher status than I do in many situations. And then last is a friendship of association, and this is very transitionary. These are the friendships you may develop with classmates that are in your classes, but then come next semester when you're not in class with them, the friendship kind of deteriorates. It would also be the friendships you have at work. When you leave that job, you may not continue those friendships. If you did, then it's not a friendship of association, but those are kind of those more transition friendships that kind of come and go. Same thing with a neighbor. If you move away from that place, you probably would not be friends anymore. There's certain needs that friendships fulfill, and the first is utility. And this means that somebody you are friends with has special talents or skills or resources that you can draw upon. For example, we have a neighbor who does a lot of woodworking. So when we need something built, we obviously go to him for that because he's got the skill to take care of it. Affirmation is the next one, and this need basically is fulfilled when your friend affirms your personal value. They help you recognize your strengths, and they express appreciation for your sense of humor or your ability to communicate well or your ability to listen well. Next is ego support, and they encourage you, they're helpful, and they also make you feel good about yourself. They stroke your ego. So they're definitely telling you that you're worthwhile and you're competent in what you do. Stimulation is the next, and that is somebody who expands your horizons. They introduce you to new ways of seeing the world. Maybe they take you to a new type of restaurant. They introduce you to a new activity that you didn't do before. Maybe they're somebody who travels often, and they invite you to go on vacations when normally you wouldn't go anywhere. Last but not least is security, and this is somebody who you can really trust. They're not going to hurt you, they're not going to embarrass you, they're not going to call attention to your weaknesses, and they're not going to judge you. So when we're looking at our friendships, we have some friendships that will achieve all of these, and those are usually our best friends. But we have other friends that maybe all they offer is utility, or maybe all they offer is stimulation, but that's okay. As long as there's one of those needs fulfilled, then it can be a friendship. It doesn't have to have all of them. What happens when we have a friendship to our communication? Well, the first thing is, going back to social penetration theory from chapter 9, the depth of communication increases. So we're going to talk in more detail about the issues, and then we're going to talk about more issues. So the breadth is the number of issues we talk about, the depth is how detailed we talk about those particular issues. So both the depth and breadth are going to increase. Also, there's a dynamic tension around revealing information about yourself, which means you may still be hesitant to tell somebody everything about you, and you want to share, but you also want to keep some things to yourself so that you can continue to slowly and gradually disclose about yourself so that relationship can grow. And then the regressions may pull friendship back, just means that sometimes our friendships have setbacks. Maybe somebody does something where we think, ooh, I don't know if they're all that trustworthy. Maybe they tell their boyfriend a story that you shared with them and you feel like, ooh, they can't be trusted. And so you may tend to reduce the amount of disclosure that you engage in. Stages of friendship, a little bit more simplistic than what we'll look at when we get to romantic relationships, and we saw a little bit about that in chapter 9. Friendships, we have initial contact, there's an acquaintanceship period where we see them and we start to talk to them. And then we engage in what it is, a casual friendship. Again, this is more somebody who we start doing things with. We may go to the movies with them for the first time. You begin to go shopping with them for the first time, and you kind of just start to feel each other out and see, oh, is this something that is beneficial for both of us? And then the last stage is you become close and intimate friends. You start sharing more time and activities together, and you probably have more of those needs, those friendship needs being met. And so obviously it's a more intimate relationship.